Welcome to this lesson on integers, adding and subtracting. Before we start, let me run you through 3 rules that we're going to keep using every time we are adding or subtracting integers. The first one is same signs, add. The second one is different signs, subtract. And the third one is always keep the sign of the bigger number. With those 3 rules, you'll be able to work out any addition or subtraction problem without any issues. So let's try and put these 3 rules into practice. Question number 1 is -3 plus 5. So going by our rules, we are saying that when the signs are the same, we should add. Well, when you look at the signs here and here, we see that they are different. That means we will be using rule 2. And when you're subtracting, you subtract like you normally would. So 5 take away 3 would be simply a 2. And the third rule tells us to always keep the sign of the bigger number. Well, 5 is positive, therefore positive 2. For the second question, it says -4 minus 2. For this question, the signs are the same, which means we simply need to add those numbers. 4 plus 2 is simply 6. And for the sign, we'll look at the bigger one, which is 4. It's negative. So the answer to this is -6. And for the next question, we have 8 plus -13. Now, before we actually go into the 3 rules, we have to first of all deal with this messy look here. When you have 2 signs that are adjacent, we should always clean them up before we look at our 3 rules from up here. So let me just remind you, anytime you have a positive sign right next to a negative, it becomes a minus. And every time you have a negative right next to a negative, it becomes a plus. So before we can go into these 3 rules that we came up with up here, we first of all have to clean up any adjacent signs that we have. So going back to our problem, this plus and minus really is a subtraction. So I'm going to rewrite this as 8 minus 13. And now that we've cleaned it up, we can check, are the signs for 8 and -13 the same, or are they different? Well, they're different because even though you don't see a sign in front of this 8, it's understood to be a positive. So different signs, we subtract. 13 minus 8 is 5. And we always keep the sign of the bigger number. This time it's -13, so we'll make this a -5. And for the next question, we have -9 minus -9. Again, we have this issue when we have 2 signs that are adjacent to each other. We have to fix that first. Remember, a negative next to a negative, as we saw from this section right here, becomes a plus. So when we clean this up, it's -9 plus 9. And now that we've cleaned it up, we go back to our rules. These signs are different, so that means we'll be subtracting these numbers. 9 take away 9 is simply 0. Well, 0 is neither positive nor negative, so we'll leave it as 0. The next question is -25 plus -20. Once again, a little bit of a problem that needs to be cleaned up. So we'll rewrite this as -25 minus 20. And now we look at the signs, they are the same, which means we'll be adding these integers. 25 plus 20 is simply 45. And 25 is bigger, it's negative. The answer to this is -45. And for the last question, we have -1 minus -13. Once again, we have this mess that we have to clean up. Remember, 2 negatives adjacent to each other become a plus. And once you've cleaned it up, again, go back to the 3 rules. Are these signs the same or are they different? You find that the signs are different, so we are subtracting these numbers. 13 take away 1 is 12. And we always keep the sign of the bigger. In this case, it's 13 and it's positive. So the answer to this is simply +12. And that concludes this lesson. So in conclusion, when you're adding integers, you're really looking at the signs before the numbers. If the signs are the same, you would add the numbers. If the signs are different, you would subtract the numbers. In both cases, you always keep the sign of the bigger one. Now, sometimes you'll have to clean up the problem a little bit before you look for the signs being the same or being different. And that concludes this lesson. Next, we'll look at integer multiplication and division.